Oh, welcome back to my basement workshop. And guess what showed up today? Oh, by the way, before I show you that, this cool little thing here came with my new camera stand for my tripod. Lets me trigger videos or take a picture or whatever remotely, which is pretty neat. Bluetooth. So, here's the box. And yes, it's the Super Timber. So let's unbox it and start to put it together. I don't think this is going to take very long. Well, as always the case, our friends at E-Flite Horizon have done a really good job of packaging this stuff. And so all we got to do is cut some tape, take the parts out, and see if we can get this thing put together. So here we are about 10-15 minutes later. It's all unpacked. And what do we have? Well, everything. We got our little pump for the tires, horizontal stabilizers, elevators, two wings, a fuselage, landing gear, a bunch of screws, not as many as usual, and included is the float mounting hardware, but not the floats themselves. And I think this one may need floats. So the next step is going to be to put all of this together. And this is Wednesday night. This is the first Wednesday of June, and it's 7 o'clock. Black Sheep Modelers is going to be getting together for its June meeting, and I'll be taking this airplane out there for the meeting, even if I don't get to fly. We're pretty windy around here today, and there's some thunderstorms forecast to come in a little later, but I'm thinking by 5:30, 6 o'clock when I'll probably get there. If the wind's not too bad, I may even make it today. So I'm not going to bother you with putting this thing together, because if you want to see how to do that, you can go watch a number of other videos, including Brian Phillips' very detailed video on this airplane. He got his about, I think, probably a month ago now. This one took a week to ship from the West Coast. It finally arrived today. And by the way, when you get stuff from the West Coast, from Horizon, I have found that getting tracking information is kind of hit or miss. This one showed up as having been shipped, but without any tracking information, and I hadn't been billed for it either. So I got on a chat session with Horizon and got the tracking number from them, plugged that into my browser, and sure enough, I was able to track it, but I wasn't going to get it tracked off of their site. From Champaign, I find that stuff shows up really well, but out of their California warehouse, I've frequently had issues with trying to track their shipments. That's obviously their port of entry for all of their airplanes and other equipment, so it's probably a pretty darn busy place when one of these shipments comes in. And oh, one other minor point of interest, I calculated the number of these kits for this super timber you can get on a container. It's just short of 400. So I'm guessing they might have gotten multiple containers in. They still show them in stock as of yesterday, so they must have a few more left. But if you order it right now, you're probably going to get it from California, not from Champaign. So with that, I'm going to take the manual here and start putting things together, and I'll show you what the completed one looks like. It is currently 12:25 here local time, and we'll see how long this takes. This landing gear took a lot longer than I thought it would to put together. In fact, I've been working on it. Let's see here, it was 12, about a half an hour to get this done. And the biggest problem was trying to get these 4 little black bolts to fit through the fuselage and through the holes in the gear struts all at the same time. And then you better have a pair of forceps or something like that to hold those lock nuts back there, and good and tight, so you can tighten them up. Once you get them started, those little shoulders back there will hold them in place while you tighten them up. Then for the springs, you're going to want to hook this end through first, then hook it in through this cross piece on both sides, and then last thing is to fasten that piece in to the fuselage with those 2 black screws and flat flat washers. Okay, next up, the tail. There it is. That took all of a minute. You just put the spar or the reinforcing rod, whatever you want to call it, through the fuselage, slide the 2 stabilizers on until they click, and then you just click that ball joint on right there, and you're done. Okay, well, the wings are on and locked. Just put that wing tube in, slide them on. I had to monkey it, probably just because it's the first time, but it did take a little effort to get the locks to come in to play, and I'm just going to leave the prop off for now. I think that's about the last step. So I'm going to fire it up and see how everything is centered, or not, and we're done. Okay, back to it. Just to wrap up, I had to adjust the elevator and one of the wings flaps and aileron to get everything centered up, but we pretty much got it done now. CG. I put the ruler on here, excuse my mess, and it's from, according to instructions, 95 to 110 millimeters. So here is 95, here is 110, and if you look up here, that's going to correspond to somewhere right around the front side of these latches. Okay, here we are. This is the short flight I recorded. We are at a local club on the east side of Indianapolis, far east side, like 15 miles from the city limits. And today is what they call Floaty Flyer Day, as in, let's just see if we can float these guys in the air. So wind's right down the runway. I've done my pre-flight checks. I'm taking the Super Timber out, checking with the field marshal to make sure that I'm okay to take off. This is an AMA sanctioned event, so we've got observers and we've got a field marshal, air boss, and here we go. And obviously I needed a little right rudder there. So there goes the Timber, up, left turn, staying in the pattern. Luckily it was cloudy. This field faces east, which is not great for morning flying, but the temperatures were very mild in the upper 60s, a few very, very light rain showers around. In fact, you'll see one start here at the end. And if you like flying timbers, you're going to like the Super Timber. It flies just like its little brother, the EVO, and all the timbers before that. Speaking of EVOs, you're going to get a glimpse, I think, of the EVO that I sold to a fellow that belongs to this club. Here we go, nice landing, touchdown, takeoff, and notice it didn't bounce, but that's because that was in the grass. I'm going to have a landing here on the runway in a minute, and you'll see it bounce. That's been a frequent criticism of these air-fill tires. Another landing on the grass. Actually, not intentional. I was trying to hit the runway, but that didn't work out. We had about a 5 to 10 knot wind, but it was right down the runway, so no crosswind excuses here. And I'm just flying around slow, easy. This is only my 3rd or 4th flight on this airplane, so I'm not going to do anything too dramatic. And it's still in pristine condition. Okay, there's a little bounce, you can see, and up and away. Got a new airplane. I don't fly at this field but once or twice a year. We had about 20 pilots, and we had a contest. We had a takeoff and a STOL takeoff, make a 360 to the left, and try to land as short as possible. Another landing in the grass. And around the pattern again. Now, this is one of the more active clubs in the area, but it is a long way out in the countryside from other fields that I fly out. Just a very low, slow pass. Staying low. Just cruising. When I got done with all of this, I had spent about 12 minutes in the air and still had a third of a battery left. So there's the bounce. Yep, there's the runway bounce. That's what you'll see on a lot of videos. Maybe looking for alternative wheels for this airplane. The fellow on YouTube has used Dubro. I think they're about 5-inch Dubros and claims they fit the axles perfectly. So maybe buying another set of wheels when I go to my field that has geotext, where I'm a member. It has geotext surface. I've flown it there, and yes, it does bounce. But you can see that when you land on grass, that bounce motion is definitely dampened. These tires are inflated to 3¼ inches. There we go, doing a few rolls. Split S. Back down low. Some more rolls. And back to the field. There's my old timber in the lower left-hand corner, about to take off. But no, he wasn't about to take off. He had some problems with it. He put a bigger motor in it, and it's not worked out well for him. So here we go. Make a 360. I was a little bit too high. You can see another airplane up high in the background there. And I'm going to come in, try to make a nice soft landing. Got a little bounce, yep, but there we go. That's it.